You need something to poofy up that mustache.
How dare you?
You getting grays in that?
Well, I got a few reds, a few browns, a few
so
grays.
you're on your way.
Mm-hmm.
The browns turn red before they turn gray.
I've had red in my mustache.
Sorry. We live together, so...
This is going to be a long fucking night if this is how we're starting off. Should we do the intro?
Sure.
Welcome to the Iconoblast podcast. This is the show that takes a look behind the public facades of famous icons to show you why you can never take anything at face value. See, now that I have that monitor facing me, I'm looking at the monitor instead of the lens.
It's still close enough.
Bad idea. I mean, when I saw it before, it looked like it was a little bit off.
Yeah, you'll look
right. You need to look straight down the barrel.
Look right into that glass.
Yeah. This is the show that takes a look behind the public facades of famous icons to show you why you can never take anything at face value. My name is Cooper, and sitting across from me, just being a total dick right now, is Joel Benner.
It's Joel, yeah. What's up?
Iconoblast! We put the past on blast! Hit them with the truth, with things you never knew. Nobody is safe, no thing to place. Got Joel and Coop with history in your face. Iconoblast!
So we're finally getting back to the Caesar topic.
Oh, yeah.
And we're actually going to be talking about Julius Caesar today. We went through the Marian reforms before, then we took a little break to talk about John Lennon with the amazing Jesse Wiseman.
Yeah.
Those are two of the funnest fucking episodes I've ever recorded.
Most fun we've had so far, yeah.
Yeah. She's just so much fun to work with, and she's funny.
She's fucking funny as shit, too. Yeah.
It was probably two of the best episodes that we've ever done.
It'll be the two best shows that we will ever do.
Not
until
as
we get her back.
Not as informative.
Like the least informational of any episode.
The least informative, but by far the most fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've already gone through the Marian reforms, and now we're getting back into Caesar's story.
Yeah,
and
when the Triarii and how they moved their troops, the checkerboard bullshit, and
the manipular system, and the Hastati and the Principes and the Velites, Triarii, Equites.
And then we did 2 episodes way before that with Julius, right? Like his early years, right?
Yeah, we talked about his birth and
his
how
mom.
He grew up during a civil war. We talked about his mom a little bit. We talked
Uncle
about
Julius a little bit.
Uncle Gaius Marius.
Yeah.
And we also talked about Gaius's civil war with Sulla.
Sulla, yeah.
And now where we're going to be picking up is around, roughly 80 BC. Well, a little bit after 80 BC, so like 79, 78 BC. After the Civil War was over, Sulla was in charge, and he ran Caesar out of Italy. Originally, Sulla was going to...
because he was pissed off at him, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Sulla,
he was pissed off at his uncle.
He was pissed off at his uncle, and Sulla could tell that even
Julius
though Caesar was really...
skills.
Yeah, even though he was really young...
probably talking shit.
He tried to kill
his
Caesar.
Daughters.
Well, I mean, most likely.
No, Julius was probably...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Caesar was probably laying pipe left and right back in those days. He was good at talking. So around
sunglasses, I feel uncomfortable still.
Yeah, here you go.
Thanks. I haven't worn these. I don't know if I'm gonna look cool. You tell me if I do.
Okay. You look like the fucking Terminator.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Good.
That makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah, so you're good to go. So around 80 BC, Caesar was chased out of Italy by Sulla. Originally, Sulla wanted to put Caesar to death, but when the decision was being made, Caesar's mother's family stepped up and convinced him to not execute Caesar. So Caesar left.
Okay, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, he left to hide in the countryside, and while he was hiding out in the countryside, Sulla kind of went back on his promise and sent a group of soldiers out to find Caesar and kill him. When Caesar ran into those soldiers, he ended up just bribing him and saying, like, look, dude, just let me get the fuck out of here. Your boss doesn't need to know. Just say you couldn't find me. Here's a bunch of money, and I'm just going to get out of Italy for a while. So he got out of Italy for a while. He ended up going to Asia Minor. He went to...
Asia Minor, what does that mean?
I mean, pretty much Turkey.
Oh.
You know Turkey.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Been there 2 times.
Yeah.
So he ended up running off to... I think he went to Mytilene first, and he was supposed to train underneath a guy named... I think his name was Thermus or something like that.
His name was Thermus?
Yeah, well, that was his...
All their names are so silly.
Yeah, they're all fucking dumb. So he was supposed to train under that guy. That's where he was supposed to get his military training. And when he got there, it turned out that the guy in charge didn't really have time to train him. And a more useful way to use Caesar's skills would be to send him off to Bithynia to gather a fleet of ships. And this is something that we kind of briefly touched on in one of the previous episodes, is Caesar went to Bithynia to the court of King Nicomedes IV, I believe.
Oh. And maybe something happened.
And possibly something happened.
Maybe
there.
a little.
A little.
We don't know. There's no
We don't
proof.
know for sure.
There's no proof it didn't happen either. Just rumors.
True. That's true. So there were rumors that...
He stayed after class one night.
Yeah, he stayed after class for a fairly long time, because he didn't, as far as I can tell from the timeline, at least the timeline given by Plutarch, because I've been using the 12 Caesars as my primary source, because
What is that?
it's a history of the different members of the Caesar's family.
Oh, okay. The 12 Caesars. It's like, so it follows his 12 dudes and their lives.
Yeah, kind of. I haven't gotten to the end of it yet, because this is still a series in progress.
Yeah.
So don't ruin the ending for me if you know what it is, because I don't know how it ends yet.
Oh, so the 12 Caesars is kind of like our version of the Game of Thrones books, but we're the video and audio version of those. Well, I'm sure you use other sources, but that's the idea, right? You're pulling from that and a couple other things.
Yeah, anything.
And then we're telling our version of what we think of that story.
Actually, wait, I take
like
that
Game of
back.
Thrones.
Plutarch did parallel lives. The 12 Caesars was done by Suetonius.
Suetonius.
Or I could be totally wrong. I probably should have written this shit down, but
Yeah,
fuck it.
'cause
Whatever.
I know that there's fucking nerds out there that are watching that want to know your sources and would probably fucking sit there and watch and listen to the same shit as you.
Yeah, that's true. So I used for everybody at home, if you want to follow along, I used a combination of parallel lives by Plutarch
Plutarch, yeah.
and excerpts from the 12 Caesars, which I believe was done by Suetonius. I might actually be getting this completely wrong.
Hey, Claudius.
And then everything else.
Killed my father. Big mistake.
You took my father's sword. Caesar went to the court of King Nicomedes of Bithynia, Nicomedes IV of Bithynia.
Nicomedes. Oh, okay. We did talk about this.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
Because Nicomedes sounds kind of like
Nicodemus
from
Secret of Nim.
Secret of Nim. Yeah. Great movie.
Not the same character.
You should raise your
Not
kids
the
on
same
Secret of
name
Nim.
either.
All Dogs Go to Heaven, and The Hobbit, and The Last Unicorn.
Those weren't all done by the same studio, though, right?
No, two
studios.
studios.
Secret of Nim and All Dogs Go to Heaven were done by the same studio.
Dom DeLuise. Woo!
Yeah, he was good. I was a fan of Dom DeLuise growing up. He used to host Candid Camera, didn't he?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's where I
is he a
first
big
knew
boy?
him from.
He's a big boy, right?
Yeah, he was in Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Burt Reynolds. That's okay. That's why. Okay, that's so funny because I learned this from watching Burt Reynolds movies with my father like a year ago. I never watched any of his movies and didn't give a fuck.
None of them,
who he
not
was.
even like Smokey and the Bandit.
None of that shit. I never really watched him. I mean, I knew about him, and then I watched. It's the guy where he's called Gator. One of them is called Gator, and then the first one I think is called Lightning or White Lightning or something like that.
Yeah, I know the ones that you're talking
There's
about
two of them.
with the airboats.
Yeah, there's boats in one, and it's car chases, and he's in prison in both of them. His name is Gator, and in both movies he gets out of prison and gets into trouble. And they're good movies. They're some of my dad's favorite old films from when he was growing up, and because I watched those, when I was watching the movies, he has this laugh where he's like, that's like the Burt Reynolds laugh apparently.
Oh yeah,
And I didn't know. And it kept triggering a memory, and it was fucking All Dogs Go to Heaven. Charlie is played by Burt Reynolds, and I didn't know.
and the giant cat, or the big ass cat from All Dogs Go to Heaven, that's played by Dom DeLuise also.
What giant cat?
Isn't there a big ass cat? And no, he plays the alligator. I think he played a big cat in Fievel.
Oh, is he in the American Tail?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know Burt Reynolds did all that. And
No, not
Charlie.
not Burt Reynolds. Dom DeLuise. Dom
Oh.
DeLuise plays a big fat cat in American Tail. I'm pretty
Probably,
sure.
but fucking in Old Dogs Go to Heaven, Charlie, like my favorite character growing up, why I got a German Shepherd, it was Burt Reynolds. So I was without knowing I was a Burt Reynolds fan, just like my dad.
You were a Burt Reynolds fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Burt Reynolds beats women, or used to. He's dead now, isn't he?
Is he dead? Probably. He should be.
I mean, he's got to be.
He beats women? Don't do this, Coop.
Okay, well, we'll do a Burt Reynolds episode. And
That would be awesome.
I'll
'Cause,
dig deeper
dude,
into that.
He did, what was the movie where he was a stuntman in the movie, and it was a movie like giving props to stuntmen, and he produced it or something.
I know the one that you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it.
If I wanted to talk about Burt Reynolds, I should have come prepared. So let's move on.
Somebody was recommending a drinking game to us recently, or was that just a text message that I got?
I love drinking games. What was it?
Somebody messaged me recently and was saying that they wanted to play a drinking game while listening to our show, and I can't remember it, so
Wait,
I probably
what
shouldn't
is
have
it?
even brought it up. I'd have to dig through my messages again to find it.
The most recent drinking game that I played it's an Oasis drinking game, the band. A lot of people make fun of that band, but I'm a new fan. I never listened to them, but now I'm a fan because of the drinking game. And what it is there's two documentaries. There's an Oasis documentary, and there's a documentary specifically about Liam.
Okay, hang on. If the drinking game is you take a shot every time that Liam and Noel fight, then you're going to get alcohol poisoning.
No, it's
and
even
we
worse.
can't endorse that.
The drinking game is you take a shot anytime Liam says, "You know what I mean,"
Oh shit.
and he says it all the time. It takes about 10 minutes, and then you lose. So what you do is everyone that's there, you tally. You make a tally mark. For
I can't
each time
remember.
you
Is
take a
Liam
shot.
the ugly brother or the not as ugly brother?
He's the one that sings.
Well, they both sing.
He's the one.
So he's the
one
lead singer.
who thinks he's cooler.
He's the one that thinks he's John Lennon. Probably beats women the same way John Lennon did.
I haven't found out. I haven't seen anything like that.
Which, by the way, fuck John Lennon.
Yeah, fuck John Lennon.
If you want to know why we say fuck John Lennon, tune into the episodes with Jesse Wiseman.
Yeah.
Because seriously, fuck John Lennon.
I think Liam is cool. I mean, he's an asshole. He's obviously an asshole.
Okay, yeah,
But
as
I
long as
haven't
you-
heard any rumors yet, or I haven't heard any bad stories.
Aside from him being an
he
asshole.
seems like a fucking asshole. So
Well,
there's
he did
probably
that.
some dirt
He
on
did
him.
that fucking appearance on what was it? The TRL on MTV, Total
I never
Request
saw
Live.
that. What did he do?
He walked in. I mean, the guy. First of all, he just wants to be John Lennon. Like he thinks of himself as John Lennon. He thinks that he's
Or
fucking
he's
amazing.
What if he's better than John Lennon?
And he better at what?
I mean, I like their songs better than any Beatles songs.
Okay, well that's one thing, but you could probably attribute that
Better
to,
at being an
to
asshole,
Noel Gallagher more than Liam Gallagher.
I was so drunk watching the doc because I was taking a shot every time he said, "You know what I mean?" So I don't remember. This is another bad
as far as
conversation
I-
because we don't know anything about this.
Oh, dude, that's this entire fucking show. We don't know anything about what we're talking about. But whichever one is the brother that plays guitar, he's the less attractive brother, in my opinion. Which I'm
Okay, that's the other. That's
Not
not
really
Liam.
into
Liam doesn't
dudes
hold
personally.
a weapon while he's singing.
a weapon.
He always stands with his hands behind his back like this.
Oh, I thought you were gonna take the term axe literally, because I mean
Well,
guitarists call their guitar an
That's why I
axe.
called it a weapon.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that makes sense. We should probably get back to Caesar because the last two episodes we really went off the reservation.
Let's push towards a little more informational this time.
Is reservation a racist term now? Saying went off the reservation?
I don't know.
Who fucking cares? Everything's racist nowadays. So like I was saying, in 80 BC, Caesar left Italy to go to Mytilene to learn military tactics. And once he got there, he found out, well, he was told by the person that he was supposed to train under that he didn't really have time to train him. So he would be better off going to Bithynia to the court of King Nicomedes IV to try and secure a new fleet of ships. He went over to talk to King Nicomedes, and they ended up
Talks in quotes.
Well, that's also it. This could all be just a bunch of political slander, and these are rumors that followed Caesar throughout the rest of his life.
Right.
Is he stayed a little bit too long in Bithynia, and people started spreading rumors about him, saying like, "Oh, he's fucking the king."
And he ended up with a bigger ship or a bigger fleet or something by the time he left too.
I don't know if it was bigger than it was initially supposed to be.
Because he was supposed to get like a little boat, and then he like left with it.
I wasn't able to find that information.
That was the info that I found that I sent you.
I don't remember you sending that to me.
Like it was some weird dude I found that did like a 8-page.
Oh, that
synopsis on if they
that was a
fucked?
couple months ago. Everything that I was able to find, because I just read through it
You
again
didn't
today.
read what I sent you, dude.
That was months ago.
That doesn't change the fact that you didn't read it.
No, I read it months ago.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember anything that I read earlier today. Like, I had to read some shit about this right before we started recording just so I could remember that much, and I'm still fucking up the facts.
Yeah.
But I'm a history expert. I do a podcast about it.
But now since we moved and we're settled and everything's changed, nothing will be in our farm memory anymore. So we'll probably get better at this. Hopefully.
God, I hope so. Yeah. So Caesar went to the court of King Nicomedes.
Yeah.
He stuck around a little bit too long, and all these rumors started going around that he was having an affair with the king, which the ancient Romans, they didn't have a problem with same-sex relationships. In terms of men having same-sex relationships, as long as you were the penetrator, not the penetratee.
Penetrator.
Yeah, that's not a Latin term. That's just, as long as you're the one laying the pipe and not the one getting your cheeks clapped, then it's fine. Because if you're the one doing the penetrating, it's respectable. So in ancient Rome, as long as you were the one doing the penetrating, it wasn't disrespectable. If you were the one being penetrated, then that put you in the feminine role, and it made you look like a pussy.
So if you take it, they're kind of like, but if you give it, it's okay.
Now, I don't have any facts to support this, but I would assume if
It's
you're
just how you feel about it.
No. No, I was going to say what I assume is if you're a fucking strong power bottom, then that's probably just as respectable as doing the penetrating. Because you're giving it as good as you take it.
I mean, that seems natural in my, like, the way that I feel. Like, I think if
Being
I was
a power bottom?
Yeah, just like laying down and just taking it.
Well, okay, this is not a debate that we're going to get into right now because we're already off topic. But I think that power bottom is a very debatable term because
I didn't
have
know
heard
that's what it
so
meant.
many different. Well, what does it mean to you?
Well, I thought it meant that you were just powerful when you were on bottom.
So like you can take it really well.
No, just when you're on the bottom and someone's on top of you. I didn't know it meant specifically taking it in the bottom. I thought it meant just if.
Well, from my understanding,
like if you're on top, then you're a power top, or if you're on bottom most of the time.
Well, I think you can be a power top also, but the whole top and bottom thing. If you're a top, you're doing the penetrating. If you're a bottom, you're being penetrated.
Oh, okay, I just
as
thought
far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that maybe a few months ago. No, but I just thought it meant what position you were in.
That's what my boyfriend told me.
I thought a power bottom was just like you prefer to be on your back on the bed and you just fuck really well from the bottom.
But honestly, that could be what it is. I never bother asking when I'm in those situations.
I think it's a gay thing.
Well, yeah, it obviously is.
Well, I didn't know that. That's what I'm saying.
You didn't know that until recently?
Yeah.
How much time have you spent in Hollywood and you just learned? Wait, you learned that since you've been in
judgment.
Texas?
No. It happened I learned it from Kaya.
Oh, okay. And yeah, shout out to Kaya. She's our good friend. And
Kaya's the shit.
Yeah.
And she knows what a power bottom really is.
Does she, though? I don't know if anybody knows what a power bottom is.
I think that Kaya is a power top.
Oh, well,
if I put my money on it.
Yeah, I would put money on that, too.
Thank you, Kaya, for helping us move to Texas.
Yeah,
and for everything else. You're the best.
Thanks for driving us out here. So, Caesar went to the court of King Nicomedes, and according to the rumors, he had a relationship with Nicomedes of Bithynia.
So King Diabetes was a power bottom, is what you're saying?
No. If Caesar was the one doing the penetrating, then he would have had no problem telling everybody, like, yeah, I fucked a king. I mean, how much street cred is that going to?
He had to take a little D to get what he wanted.
According to another very famous politician of the time, this guy Cicero, he ended up writing that Caesar walked into the king's bedroom and the king was on this golden couch dressed all in purple, which purple was the royal color because it used to be a really difficult color to make because of the pigments that you need. They were really rare. So only royalty would wear purple. And he walks in, the king's on a golden couch wearing all purple.
Ooh, daddy.
And according to Cicero, I don't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but it's like he born of Venus lost his
Weenus?
No, no, it didn't rhyme, but it would have been cool if it did. Cicero pretty much said, because Caesar used to claim that he was a descendant of Venus, that his family lineage could be traced all the way back to the goddess Venus.
Oh.
So Cicero was saying that this person of the lineage of Venus lost his virginity that night, which I'm sure that he had actually lost his virginity before. But
Caesar? Come on.
King Nicomedes fucking clapped those cheeks is what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
But there's
So that's why he gets so upset.
Yeah, well, there's really no accounts to support it. They're all rumors, and most of the.
But there was, in the research I did, there was proof, or at least some evidence, where the rumors were spreading well later in Caesar's career, and then he went back to defend himself, and goes back to the island and goes into the shit and was like, "I didn't fuck you,"
Well, he actually went
or something like that.
from the
right?
stuff that I was reading after he left Nicomedes' court. He went back a few days later, which, I mean, a few days, that could be, 2-3 days. That could be like 2 weeks, a month later,
Who knows
something
what
like
it
that.
is.
Yeah, who knows what these fucking weird Romans were writing about. Because I think it was according to Suetonius that he went back.
Suetonius.
He went back a handful of days later, but he went back under the claim that he was going to collect some money that was owed to somebody that he knew. But I mean, he just left, and there's these rumors going around that they're hooking up. Then he went back for more.
Right? Wasn't there a story that he was like he had troops at this point? This was way later. Like he has troops under his rule, and he overhears the troops being like, "Caesar fucked the king over there."
Oh, so you're talking about years later?
Yeah. And he overhears it, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And if he didn't, this was what we talked about before. If he didn't have a relationship with the king, when he heard those rumors, he would have just been like, "Nah, dude, that's dumb." But because it was true, he had to defend it so hard that he went back to the island and like went into the courts and like had a court hearing about this. And what happened was
not necessarily, because
but that's what he did, because he was trying to defend himself, and then the king dies.
But if you're
During
defending
it.
if you're defending
Why did
yourself from
why did the
libel,
king die?
what, are you saying that Caesar killed the king because
No,
he
I'm
didn't?
not saying anything. I'm just saying.
Well, then what are you
when
trying
he went
to say?
back to defend himself, it wasn't going well, and the king died. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but that's what you're explicitly stating. What are you implicitly stating? What are you
it's-
trying to imply?
I think it's weird. That's all.
You're trying to imply something more. So what
do you think it means?
What do I think? What you're
I
saying
mean, he
means,
was
or
old.
what?
The king was old.
Oh,
maybe
no,
it was
people died at it.
maybe it was bad timing.
At all ages. Suspicious timing, possibly.
Like suspiciously
So
died
if-
on the day he was in court talking about how he
Oh,
didn't fuck the king.
I wouldn't put it past Caesar to assassinate another leader to prove that. Just to
didn't-
shut him. Well, it's not even the king that's spreading the rumors. It was everybody else that was spreading the rumors. What does he gain from killing the king?
Well, I know he went back there because he wanted to.
I mean,
he
really,
needed something from them. I know. I can't remember.
If he killed the king, he would be getting rid of like the only person that could help corroborate his story, saying like, "Look, ask this guy. Did King Nicomedes? Did you fuck me? Oh no, I didn't fuck you. All right, there you go. Case closed."
Right.
So somebody else could have.
Somebody was like, "Okay, we got to kill the king because we got to put Caesar down."
We got to make sure that Caesar always has this rumor
True, that
following,
could
which
be-
it
that could be the
did.
case.
It did follow him for years and years afterwards. When he served as consul for, I think it was during his first term as consul.
But it wasn't
later in
the
his
fact
life.
that hooked up. It was the fact that he was a taker, not a giver.
Yeah, he was the
That's what
catcher
bothered
instead of
him.
being the pitcher. Yeah, because if you're the pitcher, you get respected.
I mean,
If
that
you're the
makes
catcher,
sense,
you don't
though.
get any
Like,
respect.
Right now, we're two straight men that just happen to be what we turned out as. Well, I think you are, but I am. So it's simple. Like, okay, how much would it cost for you to get your dick sucked by a man? I'll give you $50. No way.
Wait, I'm getting paid for it?
You're gonna get your dick sucked by a man.
Oh, dude, how much is a tall can from the liquor store?
Okay, so now how much do I have to pay you to suck a man's dick?
How much is a tall can from the liquor store?
That's a lie. That's a lie, and you know it.
No, I mean that's This is just getting back into the whether or not I would fuck a fox thing.
No, this is different. This is, I mean, it's just what you prefer. Like, I mean, I know how for me, it'd be like, all right, I don't want a dude sucking my dick, but how much you got? I'd probably do it for $500. Let a guy suck my dick. Well, it depends on what he looks like. Does he have a beard and shit? Because okay, I'll need a G.
Then you're gonna up the price a little bit.
Yeah.
But
to get me to suck a dick's $1 million.
How feminine does the guy look?
How what?
How feminine
Yeah,
does
that's
the
a
guy
big part
look?
of it.
It's like, okay,
if he's a real manly man, the price goes up. But if you switch it to me sucking a dick, I'm not gonna do it. Maybe $1 million. It'd be $1 million before I would. I don't even know if I could do it at that point. It's different.
Yeah, you realize that all the stuff that we're saying into this is recorded for perpetuity. This is going to be around for a while. So this is a statement that you stand by.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think that. I mean, that's just not my thing. Like if
But
you,
what are the price points for you? Dick sucked by a man with a beard.
that's really tough because you have to live with those memories afterwards.
Yeah, it sucks. It's gonna suck. But
the other guy's gonna suck. Yeah.
Yeah. But the price differential between the two, you would get your dick sucked by anything for a price that's less than before you would do it. It's a lot more work, just based off of the work.
Well, I mean, I feel like for me, just because of my sexual preferences, it would be a lot more traumatizing if I was the one doing the sucking as opposed to being filleted.
Exactly.
But I don't really want to do either one. But I mean, I guess that's not
but I'm just saying,
the point.
Like,
it's
yeah,
how much money would it take?
And that's the same with how it was back then. We don't care if you swing both ways, but which way did you do it when you swing?
Is swang a word?
Swang.
It sounded natural, but
feels right.
Is
you know what I meant.
Swung? Which way? No, which way did you swing?
You swang last night. Did you give or take, bud? About to give you 6 ships and a bunch of troops. Did you take it or did you give it?
Well, no. According to the rumors, that's what he had to do to get the ships.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like, Caesar, come on, buddy.
You want the ships?
How bad do you want these ships? Holy shit. If that's the case, King Nicomedes was Harvey Weinstein.
That was the whole thing I was saying. Because remember, I was also saying that he was like a kid back then.
Yeah,
And
he was
the
about
rumors
20
were that he
years
was
old.
super handsome and sexy. And
He was very charismatic. He was very
so-
charismatic for his entire life, as far as I can tell.
so that motherfucker got raped by a king to make it.
Well, yeah, it would be rape at that point.
But you
Well, I
gotta,
mean, that's-
you take
that's
it.
pretty
You're like,
fucking
"All
dedicated."
right, fine, I'll fucking do it. But I'm gonna get the ships. I get power. I'm gonna get money from this little island. It's gonna help me grow. I gotta take a D.
All right, yeah, that's fair enough. It's just there's actually no historical documentation.
There's no proof of any of this.
No proof of any of this.
But there's proof that there was rumors about it.
There's proof that there was rumors about it. True.
Yeah.
Most of them are generally overlooked by
Historians and stuff, like just like weed fronts and stuff, drug fronts and stuff.
Okay, well, shit. Now I'm going to have to back up my earlier claims that if it's written on paper, it's true. So Caesar fucked that king. He took it hard. And apparently he did a good job because he got the fleet that he went over there to get.
All right, last question. We can move on. This is about sexuality.
Yeah, I'm not going to like it.
Would you rather suck a D or take a D?
Yeah,
That's easy for me. Take a D.
take it where? No.
You know where. Suck a D or take a D, bud.
Suicide's not an option?
No, you're held down.
Well, then it sounds like I don't really have a choice.
You have a choice for one or the other. That's all.
I don't want to answer that question while we're being recorded
I
because
think you have a bit of homosexuality in you. Because if it's not like that simple for you, then maybe you want to suck a D, and that's okay.
Wait, no, I don't want to do either one. That's why I'm hesitating.
I don't want to do either one, but I'd rather not have to see anything, and I could just close my eyes and bite a straw. Or bite a piece of wood.
I don't want to do either one, but I'll take a fucking dick.
I'll probably cut all that out. Moving on.
So Caesar got the fleet of ships from Bithynia.
Okay, well, last thing about it.
Jesus Christ. Okay, now what other way do you want to fornicate a man?
That is like the simplest way of understanding how they felt at the time, right? They're all hanging out, getting drunk, and sometimes they fuck each other, and they don't. It's not really about being male or female. It's really about giving or taking. Because if you give, it's like being with the female. If you're taking, it's like you're the female.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
no,
about
it definitely
being
was
homosexual or any of that. There wasn't
No, it
any
was-
of that shit going on.
it was a
just more
masculinity
about
thing.
being masculine or feminine.
Yeah. And they all wanted to be tough guys because the tough guys are the ones that get respected more. Because, I mean, back in those days, if you're not a tough guy, then you're going to get fucked.
Dude, that just made me think. Two tough guys drunk. They got a crush on each other. they're both homosexual for sure, but they want the honor and the respect, so they're always trying to be a giver, right? They go back home. They wave goodbye to everyone. They hold hands. They leave. Everyone's like, they're gonna fuck. Who's gonna be the one? And then it becomes just like those videos of like two bulls trying to fuck each other. Like they like beat the shit out of each other, right? Like it just seems like super animalistic.
Or better yet,
what do they do? They're all right, fine, let's make a deal.
they're both attracted to each other, but yeah, they're afraid to be the one taking it because they're tough guys. And
So
they
like,
don't want to be the one on the bottom. Well, they want to be the one.
Somebody always wins.
They want to be the one on the bottom.
But they can't.
Physically, but socially, they don't want to be the one on the bottom. So it's like, oh no, stop. Nope, you better
No,
not.
you better not. Oh, I fell again.
Oh, I fell over.
But
This is offensive.
Once in a while, both of them don't give up, right? So they're both givers. And then they're like, fuck. And they sit there, they're both naked. They're like, God damn it, you're not going to let me do it to you. And you're not, because we're both trying to make it in society.
Well, no, in that
so
situation,
let's jerk each other off.
In
and
that
just have a
situation,
couple more fucking wine shots, right?
No, in that situation, they would just both turn into two face-down Leonardo DiCaprio starfish, where they're just both laying there like, oh, I hope nothing happens to me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they end up in a stalemate.
Well, then it would be boring. They'd just be lying spread eagle face
back
down.
then it was aggressive, right? So they fought for sure, just like animals.
Oh no, the
It was like,
Romans
come
knew
here,
how to make
booger.
love.
And they were like trying to wrestle each other, and then they get them and go for a pin, and then the guy was like, "No, I can't be a taker." Gets out of it, goes for a submission, gets his back, pulls him back, goes for a choke, and then starts trying to go for the.
How long have you spent thinking about this?
It's all happening right now. I'm
it
safe
seems like
behind
you
the
put some-
glasses, so now
Oh.
just my thoughts.
So
are
now you
free.
can just say anything. So as I was saying, Caesar left the court of Nicomedes in Bithynia after he did or did not.
He got slammed. Let's
Maybe,
just say we
according to
don't know,
rumors.
but probably.
Well, they used him as political
everything got better
slander
for him
so
right
much.
after. Because
Well,
everyone
no, because
everyone else that was there was working their way up too,
The-
but the king didn't want to fuck anybody else.
the
'cause
only
little hot,
thing-
sexy Caesar came in.
the only thing that Caesar got out of it was a fleet of ships, which I mean, yeah,
The
definitely
only
does
thing.
that does seem like a lot. But he was sent over there as an ambassador to get
And
a fleet
he
of
also
ships.
developed a limp after he left too.
Okay, there's no proof of that either.
No.
Bithynia was already in the process of becoming a territory of Rome. So Caesar was pretty much going over there being like, look,
What's
dude,
up?
you know that we pretty much own this place. Just give us some ships and then I'll leave.
King was like,
But before
"You
I
don't own it.
leave,
You don't own it yet."
you want to do a little, maybe, allegedly.
You don't own it
That's
yet,
how it went
bud.
down.
Maybe you'll have it
Allegedly.
soon. But right now, I'm still the king.
So Caesar got the ships by whatever means
So
necessary.
it was more than one ship.
Well,
See, from what I read, he was
sent over
supposed to get
a
there for like a
fleet.
12-man ship. It was one ship, and then he fucked the king and got a fleet.
Okay, well, yeah, he did end up getting a fleet, but as far as I read, he was sent over there to get a fleet.
Okay.
So maybe he did do it because he's dedicated to his job. He was sent over there.
Plus, yeah.
He was sent over there to complete a mission, and he went above and beyond the call of duty. So anyway, Caesar leaves Bithynia, and it was also around, I think it was around 78 BC. He leaves Bithynia, and around this time he found out that he was clear to go back to Italy because Sulla finally fucked off and died. I think he drank himself to death out in the countryside. Which Sulla looked like a Bond
sucks.
villain, by the way. He had like really splotchy skin, and he had these crazy gray eyes. He was also a big time partier. Sulla,
I wish he got like revenge on Sulla somehow. Because wait, how did
Life got
how did
revenge
Uncle
on
Caesar
Sulla.
die?
Shit, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I mean,
Was
probably,
he killed or just old age? Like they all just
I mean, it was
went
probably
with old age.
It was probably diarrhea. That's what killed most people back then.
Yeah, see that sucks. I wish it was like more like a movie. Like Sulla like kills Caesar's uncle right as he walks in the room. He's like, "You motherfucker!"
Oh, okay, I thought you were going to bring this back around to Gladiator, and it's the two of them squaring off in the Colosseum.
Oh, well, that would be cool too. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would be a good story.
but that's a
anyway.
good ending for Caesar.
So,
But Caesar lives forever.
well,
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I don't want to spoil any endings, but he did get stabbed about 27 times. No, he didn't get stabbed that many times, but we'll get to that in a
Proximo
later
did in
episode.
Gladiator.
Oh yeah, Proximo got stabbed. Well, that wasn't 27 times. That was like 4 or
times?
5. I don't think
There was like 4
8
guards,
guys.
and they kept going like this.
Oh, stabbed multiple times. Yeah. So
Does that make Proximo a power bottom? If the swords, never mind.
well, he's the one being penetrated.
Right, so that makes him a power bottom, right?
I don't fucking know. We haven't
Who's-
even started the show notes yet, Joel.
Okay, let's go.
I was just trying to give a little backstory, and then you had to go off and live all these fantasies in your mind.
Read the fucking.
After the death of Sulla, Caesar's friends in Rome sent word that the coast was clear. He could finally come home. Sometime between 75 BC and 78 BC, Caesar left Bithynia for Rhodes.
Oh, so he had to wait till Sulla died. That's
Well,
how dangerous he was.
oh yeah, he
Like, there
definitely.
was just a hit on Caesar. So
Yeah,
had to
he
stay
didn't.
away.
He
Yeah,
didn't
that
want to
makes
go
sense.
back to. He didn't want to go back to Italy during the time that Sulla was alive because Sulla, he had a active hit on his head. Caesar decided to stop off in Greece to learn the gift of gab from some of the greatest orators in the ancient world. Now, don't make an oral sex joke; it's too easy. Or do you even know what orators mean?
No, I thought you were making a joke about gabbing.
Oh, okay. Well, I was, but
Gab. Something like that.
not gagging, gabbing.
Oh.
Gift of gab, not the gift of gag. Caesar had no gag reflex. That's how he got the fleet. While crossing the Aegean to study public speaking in Rhodes, Caesar was kidnapped and held for ransom by a band of Cilician pirates. And I honestly can't believe that so all of the material that I have here in the notes, I didn't make any of this shit up.
Okay.
Like there's no way that I could make up anything more insane than this
He was
shit.
captured by pirates.
He was captured by Cilician pirates.
Cilician. What does that mean?
They were from Cilicia.
What is that in relation to where Caesar's from? Like,
Well, I mean, it's just some.
this all takes place in that, like,
It's all.
where the shoe is, where Italy is.
It's all somewhere around the Mediterranean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this was just off the coast of like Asia Minor or something.
But
like
it's
that.
all-
so somewhat west
what's
of
that
Turkey.
sea called?
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean Sea.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the north side of that, right? Because south is Egypt and shit.
Oh, Rome took over all that shit too.
Right, but at this point,
Yeah, I'm pretty
they're
sure
fighting
that.
with them, right? That's the battles that we're talking about with the elephants and shit.
No, they had a decent amount of that because during the Second Punic War, that's when they were able to finally take the northern coast
Second,
of Africa.
what? The Peanut Wars?
The Second Peanut War, yes. No,
What is
Punic.
it? Punic. Okay.
Punic. Punic.
I'm bad with the names, dude.
I am too. I just spent a bunch of time reading about this shit, and I kind of retained some of it. But you know, this White Claw here kind of fucks with your memory. So yeah, at this point, it's not the Roman Empire yet. The Roman Empire didn't start until after Caesar's death. This is still the Republic of Rome, but the Republic of Rome controlled the majority of the territory around the Mediterranean. They either outright owned the territory or they were very heavily allied with the nations around there.
Okay.
The pirates held the 22-year-old for a total of 38 days on an islet called Pharmacusa, where he would pass the time seemingly doing
Wait,
whatever
how did
the
they
fuck
get
he
him?
wanted. He was just.
There's no way to know. Was he? Did they like attack his ship, or was he port?
Well, I mean, yeah,
at
they
port
were
somewhere?
pirates. They would just pull up and I mean, I'm assuming throw some grappling hooks over to the other ship and
Shit.
pull them up to him and just be like, "Hey, you belong to us now."
But it was fucking probably violent, right? Because Caesar's an asshole and he's got his troops. You
Well,
think
I
a
mean,
couple people
Caesar was an
died, or-
asshole, but he's a 20-year-old asshole.
22, yeah, 20-year-old politician.
who only has
Didn't he
like.
do good in the military, or was he not? He didn't do his fighting yet.
This is the beginning of his military career.
Okay,
this is
so he's-
very
he's
early
gotta
on,
learn how to
'cause-
fight still.
Because when he got sent to
He would
Mytilene,
never get captured later, ever.
I mean, later he was always surrounded by a fucking legion. So yeah,
the
good.
Triarii,
Well, the Triarii and
the Principes, and
they
the-
no. Once Caesar was in control of a legion, they didn't have the Principes anymore. Everybody was just a legionnaire. That was one of the changes of the Marian Reform. Did you listen to the two
forgot.
episodes about the Marian Reforms?
Yes,
that's
but I
what they did.
forgot
Is
that
they
they got rid
normalized
of all that
everything,
shit.
so they don't have Principes. Well, pretty much
but they still have
everybody
to
in
have
the
the
legion
crazy
was
guys in the
Principes.
front that throws poo and stuff.
No, well they were replaced with what do they call them? I don't have my notes in
Chodies.
front of me anymore. So no, they were auxiliaries. They were the velites were replaced by
Velites.
auxiliaries, and the auxiliaries were
Velites and the Triarii are my boys.
oh yeah, the velites and the
They just
Triarii
give them
are
different
badass.
names.
But they're also, I mean, they're not the meat and potatoes of the Legion were the Principes. Like that's what they turned everybody into after the Marian reforms. Is pretty much everybody became a Principe, and they just called them legionnaires.
Yeah, that's like the cannon fodder in every movie.
They did still have the Triarii though.
Because they can't die.
Caesar saw himself as being superior to the pirates, and he made damn sure they knew it. As Plutarch describes, quote, "For 38 days, as if the men were not his watchers, but his royal bodyguard, he shared in their sports and exercises with great unconcern." For the whole time that he was being held by these pirates, he just didn't give a shit. He was treating them all like they were his servants.
But they didn't like fuck him up? Like how?
No, because they thought it was funny. They were like, dude, this little 20-year-old kid is walking
Acting
around
like a cocksucker?
and they thought that he was ballsy. They liked how tough he was acting and how little he gave a shit that he was being held captive. And they were just like, this kid's
You
all
think that's
right.
because he was a psychopath? Like he actually just was so full of himself that he thought he was fine the
He
whole time?
wasn't a psychopath. If anything, I'd say he was a narcissistic sociopath. I mean, he had to have been a narcissistic sociopath because, I mean, all the shit that he did,
Yeah,
he was for sure a sociopath because you don't get into a position like Caesar unless you are a sociopath. You have to have
You got kidnapped by
zero
pirates and
concern
you don't
for
give a
anybody
fuck?
else around you. Yeah, he didn't give a shit at all. Like, he did not give a shit at all.
That's crazy.
No, Caesar was a fucking badass. I mean, objectively, he was a piece of shit, but he was a great leader. He was extremely intelligent. I've got a lot of respect for him. Well, I don't know if respect is the right word. I'm very...
You understand him.
No, I think that's the reason I'm so fascinated by him is because I just
don't understand
I
him.
don't understand him at all. I don't know how somebody can be so obsessed with themselves and so self-confident that they can do all the shit that Caesar did because he considered himself like on par with the gods.
It was a front, right? Like, I mean, or he actually thought it, or he was like, I got to act like I'm the shit because every time I do, it works.
I honestly think that he actually believed it because he believed it from a very young age.
Interesting.
And I don't think that that's a mentality that I don't think that kids really understand the concept of fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
Like
that's a hard one to teach.
people at his age when he was in his 20s, like early 20s,
Someone had to
late
teach him
teens,
that.
early 20s. No, I think that he was just a flat out sociopath.
He was the first one. That's why he got so successful. He was the first sociopath. He was the
for
first
sure
brain
wasn't
that was matured into that.
For sure wasn't the
to
first
succeed.
sociopath because Sulla was a sociopath also. I mean, there was multiple sociopaths before that.
So
But
he just had the brain to become the best.
I think he was born as a sociopath, and then he saw the way that Sulla was acting while he was growing up, because he grew up during the Civil War between Sulla and Marius. So while he's growing up during the Civil War,
But he loved his uncle too, right? Like he was impressed by his uncle.
I mean,
He wanted to be.
probably to a certain degree, but
You think he wanted to be Sulla more than his uncle?
oh, for sure. Yeah,
Oh,
hands
really?
down.
I didn't think about
no doubt about it.
He wanted to be the enemy?
He modeled almost his entire life off of the shit that Sulla did, because Sulla's life and Caesar's life very, very closely mirror each other. Because Sulla turned his own legions on Rome, which was, I mean, not unheard of, but it was
a big deal.
Pretty big fucking deal.
And that stuck in.
And Caesar did even to the degree. So Marius and Sulla were actually very close friends and allies for a long time. Marius started Sulla's political career, and they served together for a long time in the Roman government. And once Sulla got enough power, that's when he started throwing his weight around. And he had all these men following him around, going like, "Oh, Sulla's the shit." And Sulla's like, "Oh yeah, I am the shit. I should be in charge of everything. Who the fuck is this Marius guy that's consul right now? Fuck him."
Fuck him and his nephew.
And his entire family, apparently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Caesar very much modeled himself after Sulla. The way that their lives mirror each other so closely, there's no way that Caesar wasn't heavily influenced by the actions of Sulla when he was growing up.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Yeah,
So
and
he wanted
even
to be the bad guys.
so the relationship between, well, no, not the bad guy, the winner, because Sulla came out on top in the Civil War.
Oh,
Sulla was still in charge when Caesar left Italy, which it was originally Marius, but then Sulla took over as consul, as one of the co-consuls. So yeah,
but he
Caesar
was like in his
Caesar
family
didn't
line,
want to.
He was the bad guy.
Caesar didn't want to emulate the loser. He wanted to be a winner. So
Okay.
since Marius was a loser, he was like, all right, well, Sulla's doing the right thing. I'm going to do what Sulla did, which is be a sociopath that climbs to the top of the ladder. And that's what he did, because the relationship between Sulla and Marius is fairly similar to the relationship between Caesar and his right-hand man Labienus later in his life. Caesar helped start Labienus with a B, not a B.
Libinus.
Well,
Labienus.
I think if I'm being more accurate, it's, and I don't want to say it this way because I know this is just something else that you're gonna focus
Let's
in
hear
on.
it.
Labienus.
Labienus.
It's like a combination of labia and anus. But do not disrespect Labienus.
Labienus is like penis, or
Yeah, I mean, there's
any
a
way you look at it.
there's a genital
Why are-
joke in absolutely
All
anything
their
for you,
words are
Joel.
sexual.
Not in your. It's like a.
No,
it's like
their
a,
words. The Romans had sexual words.
No, it's like a Rorschach test for you. You take anything and you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, that's a dick. Oh, yep,
That's not true.
that's a pussy.
Say other words that aren't Roman.
That aren't Roman.
Yeah, like normal words.
Well, I was gonna say scutum.
Scrotum. That's another Roman word.
Yeah. Well, okay, because you're turning them into.
But because they sound like it. I don't turn like Apple Jacks into a sexual thing.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that does sound like it could be some sort of weird sex move.
An Apple Jack? That sounds like an anal plug or something.
Oh man, there it is. I went home and I gave her the old Applejack. All right, we're only 3 paragraphs in, and we got page and a half more to 2.5 pages to go.
All right, well, let's get cracking. The Kraken. It's hot in here.
Did you not turn the air
No,
conditioner
I'm
on?
going to turn it on.
Okay, so while Joel's out of the room, I can actually get through some more of this information. The pirates demanded 20 talents of gold for Caesar's safe return, or he would be murdered and dumped into the ocean. A talent is a unit of measurement equal to about 33 kilograms or 72 pounds. I'm putting that in there because we've got some European fans now. So, no, Joel, I'm not done yet. Stay out of here.
Okay.
So the pirates wanted 660 kilograms or 1,000...
Here, I'll stand over here for a minute so I can't interrupt.
Thank you. You're in the bad boy corner. So the pirates wanted 660 kilograms or 1,440 pounds of gold. This has a modern value of somewhere in the ballpark of $28 million. That's what the pirates were asking for originally for Caesar's safe return. When Caesar heard this, he was insulted that they were asking for so little. He knew he was worth at least 50 talents, so he demanded that they raise the ransom. That would bring Caesar's ransom up to a whopping $70 million in modern gold value. Okay, now if you're sitting there reading one of Ross's books, you're not going to be able to follow the story.
Well, do you want me to be a part of this, or you just want to
Okay, yeah.
be by yourself?
No, you can sit back down.
I'll behave.
So Caesar was originally held ransom for $28 million in modern gold value, and he demanded that they raise it to $70 million because that's what a narcissistic sociopath would do.
His worth, yeah.
As Plutarch puts it, quote, when the pirates demanded 20 talents for his ransom, he laughed at them for not knowing who their captive was, and on his own accord agreed to give them 50. So Caesar was going to be responsible for raising his own ransom. Like, he needed to send some of his own friends out to find this money and bring it back to the pirates. They're like, okay, we'll let you go if you give us 20 talents. He's like, fuck you, I'm going to give you 50. And that's what he did. Some accounts say the pirates asked for 20 talents of silver instead of gold, which would put the ransom at around $380,000, but I thought that gold was more impressive, so that's what I went with. Remember, Sulla stripped Caesar of his inheritance before he left Rome, so he wasn't sitting on a mountain of cash at the time. But that didn't matter when his pride was at stake.
Okay.
I have to pee really fucking bad right now.
Why didn't you pee when I took a break?
I was thinking about it, but then you said, well, just talk to yourself. So I was talking to myself.
So now I have to take another break.
You don't have to. You can.
Well, I'll read some things.
Okay, so Joel's gonna take over on
I'm
this
gonna
one.
fail at trying to read something.
I'm on the very last paragraph on this page.
Okay.
Remember, you got to add some commentary. We got to stretch this at least a little bit.
How do you read this? Oh, I have sunglasses.
Fuck, you can't read. I forgot.
Remember, Sulla stripped Caesar of his inheritance before he left Rome, so he wasn't sitting on a mountain of cash at the time. But that didn't matter when his pride was at stake. He demanded the pirates increase his ransom, and they did. Caesar wasn't worried about the money, because he didn't plan on letting them keep it. Once the ransom was agreed upon,
Caesar sent some of his men to nearby cities to gather the money while he waited with the pirates. At no point during his time as a hostage did Caesar ever acknowledge that he was in any form of danger.
I love that.
As far as he was concerned, this was Club Med. That's really how he fucking treated it. Besides playing games and exercising alongside the pirates, Caesar would also write poems and speeches which he recited to the crew. And I can't believe this, but you've been telling me that you somehow got a recording of Caesar reciting a poem to these pirates.
From that same museum that I got the note of the cabin boy, those same guys.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually hooked me up with rare, never before seen footage of Caesar captive
not
during
only a
speech.
recording, it's
a video recording.
A video recording, not
Yeah.
just an audio recording. I didn't think that they had either back then.
No, dude, they did. Someone did. Or else how would I have this?
I mean, it has to be real.
Ready?
Okay.
Quiet, you cretins!
Caesar looks really familiar in this video.
He was the common man.
Present to you my latest work. As yet untitled.
See, a pirate gave him something to write on.
25 lighters
They must have liked him.
on my dresser. Yes, sir.
They had papyrus back then.
Put fire to that ass. Body cast on a stretcher. And her body got that ass that a ruler couldn't measure. And it made me come fast. But I never get embarrassed. And I recognize you have what I've been wanting since that record that Adina Howard had.
Adina Howard was around back then too?
The king fucked him for sure, you can tell.
I'm holding my scrotum and posing. This voice here is gold. So fuck y'all.
I had no idea that Kendrick Lamar was quoting Caesar in that song.
You illiterate swine! Uncultured barbarians! I'll see you all crucified for this!
True.
No?
I swear, to Jupiter Optimus Maximus, you will all die by my hand for this!
Yeah.
Okay, he seemed a little... Okay, according to your research, he was totally fine there, but from this evidence, it seems like maybe he was a little upset, don't you think? Maybe just a little bit.
I could definitely see
He was
Caesar
handling
getting-
his shit. I didn't see any wounds or any marks on him, but he was...
How dare those fucking pirates just sit there and laugh at his art?
Yeah, they were kind of laughing, and they booed him a little bit.
They are uncultured swine.
They were kind of mean to him, but...
So Caesar really did talk shit to the pirates when they didn't like his poems. That's actually how he was acting when he was being held captive.
and it looks like he might have cried a little bit. But
Well, I mean, maybe here and there, but if
kind
you're
of like a you know,
if you're already being held by pirates and then they're going to laugh at your
emotional.
poems, yeah, I'd get
emotional.
emotional too. Caesar thought so little of the pirates, he would flat out tell them to shut the fuck up if they weren't being too too noisy.
We saw that.
Yeah, that's pretty close to the truth. He would also berate them for not appreciating his poetry, and this is something that Plutarch even said.
We
Quote,
saw that.
And those who did not admire, these he would call to their faces illiterate barbarians. So I think that in that video he said illiterate swine, but Plutarch didn't have the video to work from because apparently they had the means to create video back then, but they had no means to play it back.
Right,
So I can forgive Plutarch for that one. Caesar even went as far as to make the claim he would execute every last one of them once he was free, as he did in the video. The pirates would laugh, and Caesar would laugh, and Caesar would probably continue laughing for an uncomfortably long time. Caesar was playing with fire by patronizing the crew, seeing as Cilician pirates were known for their disdain of Roman nobles. Some accounts state that upon learning any of their captives were patricians, the pirates would feign fear and beg for mercy from the noble. They would then dress them as a Greek and throw them into the ocean.
Damn.
They would, I think that they dressed them as Greeks as a form of insult because Rome had already kind of taken over Greece at this point.
Oh.
Once again, things worked out in Caesar's favor.
Were the Greeks like pussies?
I mean,
Well, they lost.
Yeah, they lost. I mean, I wouldn't say that the Greeks were weak. I mean, they were pretty strong, but I think
Was Hercules a Greek?
Hercules was Hercules or Heracles. I mean, it's the same fucking thing. So the Romans,
the guy that fight the Cyclops.
I mean, that's still the same. Did Hercules fight a Cyclops?
Oh wait, that was Sinbad.
Yeah,
Was Sinbad a Greek?
I thought Sinbad was Middle Eastern. Once again, things ended up working out in Caesar's favor. The pirates got their money, Caesar got his freedom, and they parted ways on surprisingly good terms. During their time together, the pirates had actually grown to like this ballsy young 20-something.
To be honest, I started liking him after that video.
Yeah, he's very charismatic, I
He's
gotta
cute.
say. Yeah. Would you fuck him?
Yeah,
I knew it.
I would.
I
I
knew
wouldn't
it.
let him fuck me though.
Oh, okay. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with either one. It just depends on what you like.
It's just what I'm into.
As they parted ways, Caesar joked one last time that they would meet again soon when he personally oversaw their crucifixions.
He told him.
Caesar was released in the Greek city of Miletus on the western coast of Anatolia, the ruins of which still stand near the village of Balat, Turkey.
Really?
Once in Miletus, Caesar immediately assembled a small fleet of ships and set sail for Pharmacusa. He was serious when he was telling these guys.
Right when he got back, he just got a little army and went right back.
Went back, grabbed a fleet of ships. He's 20 fucking years old at this time.
Gangster, dude.
Yeah, there was no way that I was doing anything like this when I was 20 years old. On Pharmacusa, he found the pirates still in the same encampment they had kept him captive in for nearly 40 days. And from there, as Plutarch puts it, their money he made his booty, but the men themselves he lodged in the prison at Pergamum.
What does that mean?
Which part?
Pergamum.
Pergamum is just a city it's a city in Turkey, modern day Turkey. Caesar was able to capture nearly all of the pirates and retrieved his ransom money along with the rest of the pirates' loot. He reclaimed his investment plus interest.
Yeah.
So he got all the money that he paid him back, and then he took all of their shit too.
They shouldn't have fucked with him, dude.
They really shouldn't have. All of the times that he was insulting them and saying like, "Well, I'm going to see you crucified one day."
They just got
he was
30
dead
mil
serious.
or 50 mil.
Like
Why didn't they
78
split?
million, I think.
Like that's kind of a dumb move. Like
Because I mean, if
you get the money, you haven't learned yet back then.
If a 20-year-old kid from a society that you have no respect for tells you, "Oh, I'll see you all crucified one day," it's like,
no,
sure
but
thing,
dude,
buddy.
If a 20-year-old kid actually gets you $50 million, you should divide that up and leave.
I mean, really, where are they going to go? They're pirates.
They're
they're hiding out on Pharmacusa because they have nowhere else to go.
But where they were when they got the money, because everyone knows where they are.
Not exactly smart, but
It's a fucking dumb move that they fucked up. If I was them, as soon as I got that money, you see him leave. I don't care if he's coming back or not. I'm leaving.
well, but this group of pirates, they'd been doing this for a while, where they would capture Greek and Roman nobles.
It was so casual for them.
Yeah, it was just like, they
That's
probably
a big score.
I mean, they'd probably been threatened a million times before.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, sure thing, whatever. Just give us the money and get the fuck out of here.
Fuck, they should have listened to them. Should have listened to him, dude.
But that's like one person out of hundreds that they captured and held for ransom.
Yeah, that makes sense. But so he goes back and kills them all. Do you think there was like one dude, or like someone there or something, like a dog or maybe a person or someone that Caesar liked, and he got them all killed, but he let one go.
I don't know if Caesar ever actually really liked anybody. I think people were...
He was that fucked up, like in his brain. He was that social.
No, there.
Is that a word?
He did like his wives, or at least one of his wives. He was fairly fond of her. His first wife, he didn't want to give up, even though Sulla was saying like, "Look, you have to divorce your wife. You're going to give up all your titles. I'm going to take all your inheritance." Caesar agreed to everything else except for divorcing his wife. He stuck with her. And he was friends with Labienus for a long time. And he never tried to get revenge on Labienus. Okay, I don't want to give too much away of later parts of the story, so I'll just leave it at that. He never actively pursued revenge.
So, did he have a soft spot for ladies? Or family? Or was he...
I mean, kind
I
of.
mean, he was only there for 30 days, so he didn't make friends with the pirates, I guess.
Oh, no, he never considered the pirates friends. He treated them as servants the entire time that they were there. He brought the pirates to Pergamum, which is near the modern city of Bergama, Turkey. There he presented the prisoners to a man named Junius, who was the praetor of Asia at the time. Caesar demanded the pirates be executed, but Junius had other plans. So a praetor is pretty much like a governor.
Okay.
The biggest perks of being a governor or praetor in ancient Rome were the sweet, sweet kickbacks you got with the gig. The position itself didn't exactly have a salary, but the praetor was free to do pretty much anything they wanted within their province, including extortion and taking whatever they want and selling people as slaves. Junius was already eyeballing the load of treasure Caesar had brought back, but when Caesar made it clear the loot was his, Junius turned his attention to the pirates. They would be worth more to the praetor as slaves than they would as corpses, so Junius insisted the prisoners be handed over to him, whereupon they would be sold into servitude. So Caesar brings these pirates back. It says, "Hey, I want these guys executed." And Junius is like, "Well, that's a pretty good pile of gold you got on your ship there." Caesar tells him to fuck off. And then Junius is like, "Well, let me just take those prisoners and sell them." And then Caesar's like, "Fuck off."
Oh, he didn't give them up as slaves either?
Oh, no. Yeah, listen to this part. Caesar refused to hand the pirates over to Junius. He had promised his dear friends a brutal death at his hands, and he was a man of his word.
Oh.
Caesar personally took charge of the prisoners and marched them down to the beach to meet their fate. He personally took these guys out of the prison at Pergamum.
Could you imagine the fucking kid that you thought was funny?
20 years old. 20 fucking years old.
Got you,
And
dude.
this kid is like, this kid goes to a praetor in a province that
You think
that
they
he's not in
dumbed down
charge
what
of.
happened there?
What do you mean?
You think that this could be... This is a long shot here, but I wonder that if the stories in the past and everything about that time you spent at that island hasn't been dumbed down, erased, and changed, maybe that's where Caesar became a man. Maybe that's where like a really shit ton of really, really bad shit happened to him. And maybe those pirates fucked him up, like bad. Because he hasn't killed anybody yet
really
until this.
from
And he kills them all?
from all of the accounts that I've been able to find of this, it all tells the same story, that Caesar was a pompous jackass the entire time that he was being held captive, and kept like jokingly telling these pirates like, "Hey, I'm gonna crucify you one day."
That sounds like the story of an asshole that would change his story and make it sound like he was cool while he was there.
Yeah, I mean,
This is just a theory.
true.
I
but
think that this was, if he didn't get captured by pirates, who knows? He might have just, stayed with his wife and had a family, and had a farm.
Yeah, well, I mean, he wouldn't have had a farm.
Or just
he was
been
he
in
was
the Legion for 20 years, and
patrician.
became a triarii and just chilled.
Well, he wouldn't have become
But
a
he got
triarii
fucked
either
up.
because since he was a patrician, he was from the
You know what I'm saying?
noble families.
Don't put a bunch of fucking what this and that, but you know what I'm saying.
Don't try to make sense out of what I'm saying.
No, but this is true, right? Or not true, but this is
A possibility.
This could be a major. He did whatever he could in the stories over his lifetime. He made it so it seemed like it wasn't a big part of his life. You get kidnapped by pirates, you're getting fucked up. Like those pirates beat the shit out of him. They probably fucked him. They
Maybe
thought he was funny, and maybe he kept his fucking attitude problem.
Well,
but dude, anyone that kidnaps anybody, especially back then,
What I think.
why do you think he marched them down and killed them all?
Because he was a pompous
But he was never
jackass.
like that before.
No, yeah, he was always a pompous jackass.
How many people had he killed up to the point of being kidnapped?
Well, I mean, there's no records of anybody else that he killed before then.
Anybody.
But that doesn't mean that...
Not a single one, but this is the first time.
Because he...
Record-wise.
Because he finally had power. He was finally in a position where he could just say, hey, I've got this fleet of ships with me.
It could be that. It could be both.
I'm a military tribune at this point.
If he hadn't been fucking tortured for 30 days on an island, maybe he wouldn't have been so hard on them.
Oh, no, he absolutely would have been. Because they made him feel weak. They put him in a position where
I'm just saying there's a possibility that could have been the major
there's a
switcher
possibility, but if...
that made him fucking crazy.
If these pirates... I still think that he was born crazy because to go on to do the things that Caesar did... You have to be a sociopath. The stuff that he did later in his life, you have to be a narcissistic sociopath.
Can turn you into one.
And I mean, it can affect you, but
he went from like
I think that's
sleeping
more
with the
nature
king and like
than nurture.
Following the rules.
Okay,
being sweet.
Allegedly sleeping with the king. There's no proof of that either. Those were all rumors, also.
And if it wasn't for this pirate trip, if he had been kidnapped before that and then went there and somebody fucking said that to him, you'd just kill him. You don't talk about me like that.
Well, no. This is Caesar's version of traveling abroad. This is Caesar's version of an upper class kid,
I'm saying
going
after
around
the
and
pirates.
seeing the world and fucking a bunch of foreign people. He finally got to a point where he had been treated fairly well up until that point. I mean, aside from Sulla trying to kill him, he had been treated fairly well. He was still from a patrician family. He was still treated with a lot of respect. And he was finally put in a position where people he considered to be below
So the
him.
second he got power, he went and killed a bunch of pirates because
Well,
of
no,
what they did to him.
it was the first time that somebody that he considered to be below him had disrespected him. Up until that point, he had been treated with the respect of a patrician. He had been treated with the respect of a noble, which having people higher than you in the hierarchy trying to kill you, that's pretty par for the course for people back then. It's like, the consul sends out a group of
I think
soldiers to try and kill me.
I get what you're saying, but I think that for sure he's hiding that he got fucked.
Yeah, I got to disagree with that.
Because that's part of the rule back then too, right?
No,
like
because
if you were a taker, you got shunned upon and fucking talked shit about.
Well, if that was the case, then...
So when he got back, he was like, oh no, I acted cool, I acted tough, I told them this, and I did poetry, and I had them by the balls. But we're going to go kill them all.
Bithynia ended up coming
Who else was there?
Bithynia he had all of his retainers, like he had all of his whole crew with him at the time.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought just he got kidnapped.
No, it was
They
him.
kidnapped the whole boat.
Yeah. I mean, they grabbed everybody that was with him, and he had a bunch of like retainers or servants or whatever you want to call them with him. The way that I see it, when Caesar got captured by the pirates, that was the first time that he was ever put in a position where somebody that he considered to be below him
Mistreated him.
was mistreating him. And
that's what I want to know. I want to know what the mistreatment
It hurt
was.
his pride. Well, no, just being captured in the first place, and being held for ransom.
He's not going to let people know what
enough,
really was.
That was enough disrespect that, as narcissistic as this guy was, just being put in a position where he's not entirely in control. He couldn't leave whenever he wanted because there was a bunch of Cilician pirates around. No, they were letting him. They were literally letting him do whatever the fuck they wanted.
And
because
who said that?
They all the
him or his
biographers at the time.
Him and his men told the story.
Yeah,
the story is told by the winner.
I mean, true, but there's just as much evidence.
All those
supporting,
pirates are dead.
Well, oh yeah.
So none of them got to tell their side.
Everybody that was involved in this whole situation is fucking dead. Caesar died.
But I'm saying like within 30 days, everyone that was on that island was killed. That was against the whatever story he decided to tell.
Yeah, almost everybody on the island was killed.
So,
but
we don't really know the other side of the story.
If Caesar,
so it would make sense a guy who's sociopath.
If Caesar was able to kill everybody that told a story that he didn't like, the stories about him sleeping with the king of Bithynia wouldn't be around anymore.
But that was before he went crazy. And that was before he got kidnapped.
Well, then why?
And he did go back and take care of that and killed that motherfucker too.
Theoretically, the
I'm
king of Bithynia died later in Caesar's life. Yes, but people would die at like 30 years old.
Died while he was in court defending the fact that he didn't fuck the king. The king dies while he was literally there for that. Not any other time.
Yeah, people die all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they do. People randomly die all the time when they're in court about something. It's so weird.
People don't
know,
die
like,
every time that they're put on
well,
trial.
You got to go on trial, and they somehow get in a car accident, or like they die in their sleep whenever they're about to go to court the next day. It's so weird how that happens.
So if I have to choose between the accounts of somebody that lived within a couple hundred years of Caesar or the accounts of somebody that lived a few thousand years later,
You're gonna take the accounts of the people that wrote the story that lived after they slaughtered all the pirates. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
They
those were
let Caesar
taken
live like a king.
Those
while
were
he was on the
taken from
island.
contemporary accounts, which have a lot more veracity to them than speculation. 2,500 years later.
Right. Sure, bud. Those pirates were sweet to him.
I mean, from all accounts, they were. Mm-hmm. From all accounts, they were like, "Look at this ballsy motherfucker."
The story is written by the winner.
We'll let him throw his weight around.
History is written by the winner.
Oh yeah, okay. So we'll question all of history. Okay. Which
It's up for debate.
you can question all of history, but this is what I have written on the paper.
And what's written on paper
this is what I'm going to
is
go
the truth.
with. I'm going to listen to Plutarch and Suetonius first.
They at least fingered his butthole.
Yeah, I mean they.
Come on, he was in a cage.
No, he's so fucking. He would have died before he let any of these pirates do.
You don't get to die.
He
When
was
you're captured, you
so
don't get to
proud.
choose.
Dude, they kill.
probably a drunk,
They kill
shitty pirate
any other
that's like 7
noble.
feet tall.
They kill any other noble that mounts off to him and acts like they're hot shit. But for some reason, they didn't kill Caesar. They had no idea who they had, or else they would have asked for more
so
money.
you think that just because he was cocky, they didn't fuck him up a little bit?
I mean, they might have fucked him up a little bit in the beginning, but not enough for him to care about that, because what he cared about was he cared about being disrespected.
Yeah.
So getting fucked up in the middle of a fight is completely different than being like blatantly mistreated while you're in captivity. Like what Caesar was upset about.
Did anybody else die that was captive, or they all lived?
There's not enough information about it to know.
There's not enough information to know any of this.
Exactly. So your speculation is
just as weak as yours.
Except the information that I'm going from is from
It was
people
written by the winners. Yeah.
It was written by people hundreds of years after Caesar's death, going from
Thinking of what they thought would happen. Yeah.
well, no, going off of the written accounts of contemporaries that we
winners.
don't have access to anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody that was writing about Caesar was a supporter of Caesar.
No,
like
that's why there's a lot of shit talk,
tons of
yeah.
bad shit about Caesar in all of these accounts.
Totally. Yeah.
Unless you're going from Caesar's own personal journals, which in Caesar's personal journals, everything was fucking perfect for him.
I'd like to see his personal journals on the piracy captivity.
Oh yeah,
Are there any? Did he write about that?
I mean, I'm sure there's accounts of it. I didn't go through.
He's like, they gave me a tower to stay in, and they fed me 3 times a day. And they brought me ladies.
There are, from what I can tell, there are corroborated accounts of Caesar reading poetry to these pirates. I don't think that he would have really been in the mood to read poetry or tell speeches if
No,
he
there's
was
proof
getting
that he did.
fucked every night. So yeah, that right there. Do you think that
Why
he
do you
would
think
really
he cried at the end?
He cried at the end because
They were like, it's like, have you seen Tropic Thunder? They make him perform Simple Jack. They hit him in the chest, like, do another poetry thing. Do the lines from the movie.
yeah, but they wanted him to perform Simple Jack and Tropic Thunder in this. They didn't want to hear his poetry. That's why they made fun of his poetry. I think that Caesar had them all executed because they made fun of his poetry.
Okay, I can see that.
Because if I was in a position of power, I would do the same fucking thing.
True.
You make fun of my art, I will fucking have you crucified.
I guess I'll let this go. I don't know enough about these pirates to believe that they were easy on them. I don't believe that anybody was easy on anybody back then.
They definitely weren't easy on him, but they saw this young kid who was worth some money to him. So they treated him well. They thought that he was a joke. And that's what pissed him off so much, is he could make all these threats and like, oh, Caesar, you're so funny. Fuck you. We're still holding you for ransom.
Yeah.
We're going to hold you for 28 million modern day dollars.
Right.
And he was like, no, fuck you. You're going to get 70 million and I'm going to send my own people to go get it for you. And while they're getting you that money, you're going to sit here and you're going to listen to my goddamn poetry. And then they made fun of him and he's like, okay, now I was going to let you
He
guys
writing
live,
poetry while
but
he's
now I'm going to execute all of you.
Maybe he was super depressed, so he had to write poetry to, like, try to stay positive.
So Caesar takes all these pirates back to Pergamum after he captures them, and he tries to get the local governor to have him executed. The local governor wants to sell him into slavery instead because that's how they make their
Deal's
money.
a deal, bud.
But yeah, he promised these guys that he was going to have him executed by his own hand. And well, he didn't actually hold the knives that executed him. But
How did they do executions back then?
Well, you had him
Head chop?
crucified. Well, here, I'll get into it.
Okay.
So Caesar personally took charge of the prisoners and marched them down to the beach to meet their fate. There, on the Turkish coast, Caesar followed through with his promise, and every last one of the pirates was crucified. As payment for their generous hospitality, he ordered that their throats be slit, thus sparing them from the long and excruciating death from dehydration and exposure, which is what you normally get if you're
they're
crucified.
On a cross. Is that what crucified means?
Yeah. He gave him the old Jesus treatment.
How many of them are there? Approximately.
I don't know.
10,
maybe
20?
Maybe. I would think that there would probably be at least
30?
like 30 or 40
Okay.
to be able to actually overtake a
to overtake their whole fleet.
yeah. Because I mean, it wasn't the whole fleet. It would be like a ship with some other ships to kind of back them up and everything. So when they were taking all the prisoners, I'm sure that any of the
But he got captured when he left
soldiers
with his fleet,
would be killed.
right?
No, this was just when he had already secured the fleet and taken it back to Mytilene, and then from there he sent the fleet back to Mytilene, and then from there in Bithynia, he just went back home. Well, he wasn't even going home. He was trying to go to Rhodes to study public speaking under some of the more famous public speakers in Greece.
So he was in a solo ship.
Yeah, it was probably just, the equivalent of taking a charter boat somewhere.
Yeah.
So then they took the boat, captured all of his people. He got held for ransom.
The charter boat captain was probably in on it, fucker. That's how all that shit worked back then.
Yeah, it might have been. If we're going with wild speculation, sure.
But that's how the pirates always worked. They have their guy on the inside that works like the docks, who has like a charter or
these guys
boat
they're cruising along normal shipping lanes,
and when
they find a ship, they're like, oh, hey, there's a ship over there. It looks like it's got some Romans, or it looks like it's got some Greeks on it. Let's grab it, see if there's anybody worth money. If there's anybody worth money, we'll hold them for ransom.
Yeah.
Everybody else that isn't worth money, we're just going to execute them.
Yeah.
So they're going to keep the people that are worth money and the people that are necessary to keep around that rich person, because they had to send somebody out to go get the money that they were holding him for ransom for.
Yeah.
And everybody else, yeah, they probably just got
and they were doing this for a while there, right? These pirates were seasoned.
Yeah, most likely. But, there's really no accounts of that either. This happened a really long time ago.
So there's no way of fucking knowing anything.
No, not really. We're just going off of what the closest contemporary accounts are.
Right.
Except for Caesar's accounts, because Caesar always painted himself in the best light.
I think we should trust those.
Those are probably the least trustworthy out of all of them, actually, because he's always gonna write everything in his own.
Are there stuff from Caesar written that we know is his that still exists that you can see?
Yeah, journals and letters and things
cool.
like that.
Where can you go to see those? Go to Rome.
I doubt that you can actually see the original documents nowadays. I can't imagine that they would have lasted that long. They're copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. All the shit that I've been reading is off the internet, so honestly, I have no fucking idea.
They have to, right there. So it's like kept in a safe in the dark so it doesn't age, and all the air is taken out so it can't rot or whatever. And then like once every 5 years they open it for a photo and then they close it.
If
like
if you have
bones and shit.
It's a lot like what's that movie with Tom Hanks by Angels and Demons, or no, the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, Da Vinci Code shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like just watch the scene where he goes in to look at all of Leonardo da Vinci's old writings, and it's the exact same fucking thing.
I haven't seen
exactly the same. There's literally no difference to it. They go into the basement of the Vatican. They've got all these old documents,
and they
go into this airtight container.
Oh, and they fall
sit there
apart.
and they look at the documents, and then somebody shuts off the air and they all suffocate. I think that's how it goes. The only time I've ever seen it is in the Da Vinci Code.
So that's what happens if you try to look at Caesar stuff. You'll suffocate.
Yeah, most likely. That's why I wasn't able to go and see it, is because I can't get access to the Vatican secret archives. I tried really hard too.
I could talk to my boys.
Talk to your boys. See if they can get into the Vatican secret archives, because I'm sure somebody had to have gotten in there because you were able to get a
That's how
hold
I
of
got
that
this.
video.
Do you think that came from them? No.
It had to have. It had to have. There's no other place that you're going to get
They're not
video
that cool.
footage of Julius Caesar unless it's in the Vatican archives. So
His
Caesar
robe was super clean, by the way. So maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong.
didn't see any blood or anything like that on
There
the
could
robe.
have
So
been
most
nice
likely
pirates.
he probably would. There have been a lot of. It depends on your definition of nice, but there have been peaceful pirates in the past
Yeah.
that didn't want to actually, beat the shit out of.
I
and
watched a
murder.
documentary about pirates last night, and apparently pirates were running around freeing slaves, and no one talks about it.
No, I think a decent amount of people talk about it because
I haven't heard. I never
large
heard that
portions
till
of pirate crews, especially I think like
Or, like,
Blackbeard,
former slaves and shit?
Blackbeard, I think the majority of his crew were former slaves because
That's
they would
cool.
go and they would capture slave ships and they would just tell
and
the
then
slaves like,
release all
"Hey,
the slaves work for us.
you can either work for us and we'll give you some money," because everybody on a pirate ship would get an equal share of the money that they stole.
Right.
Like it was a very, very democratic system that they had going on.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, pirates were shitty, but they were
And they were
very
trying to start
progressive.
their own country and their own republic, I guess.
They did that on what was the name of the island? I don't think it was Tortuga.
In the Caribbean?
Yeah, that was during the golden age.
I was
of
falling
piracy.
asleep during it, but I was like, oh, and what this shit was on Netflix. They had a bunch of shitty reenactments, but it was cool. And what they were pushing in that documentary was that the pirates back then, when we were first around here, were trying to start the first Americas, and they got fucked over. So they were actually first, before all the shit with George Washington and shit. Apparently there was this crew of pirates. They were doing some shit, and they were trying to start a freedom thing and freeing slaves, and before a lot of all the shit that we know in our history books.
Yeah, I mean piracy was definitely around before the
I'd have to watch it
founding of
again.
America.
I took 3
But
sleeping pills because I couldn't sleep.
the golden age of piracy occurred during the 1500s.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be before
That's is
at
that
least
Blackbeard's world?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blackbeard and Calico Jack.
I
Anne
can't remember
Barney,
their
is that
names.
her name? Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was one chick in it, and then there was
Two chicks. They were a couple,
but
they were involved with Calico
Gina
Jack.
Davis.
Yeah, Gina Davis, Cutthroat
Cutthroat
Island.
Island,
Yeah, exactly.
That girl. Yeah.
So anyway, the moral of today's story is never let anybody else determine your value, and if they do, slit their throats and have them crucified. I guess
So he had
that's
a mole.
what Caesar does.
He had a mole. It was on a beach. I'm just trying to picture it. They were all on a beach, 30 guys. So there's 30 crosses.
So yeah, imagine.
Or did they do it over 5 at a time because they only had 5 crosses? How do you think?
Well, if they were going to crucify him, they would crucify him all at once. Because crucifixion
made
is sort of
30
a fire and
crosses.
forget type thing, where you tie people up on the cross and then you just leave and let them die. That's what
Yeah.
makes crucifixion so brutal. But they must have had enough crosses for everybody because he had all of their throats slit and then had them crucified. So
He cut
it was
the
just
throats and then just put them up for display.
yeah, as a warning to everybody else. Sort of like the old gibbet cages that they would put pirates in, where you just stick them in a cage and hang them up somewhere. Where
Oh,
everybody can
is that
see
where
'em.
Mad
Just-
Mardigan was?
Yeah, that's where Mad Mardigan ended up. Brought it back around to Willow.
Yeah.
All right, well, we finished this story. I say we go ahead and call it a night.
Okay. Do we get through everything?
Yeah, we
Sweet.
got through everything.
Only an hour and a half.
It was a long and difficult process, but we made it.
We did it. Yeah.
Just like Caesar made it through those 38 days being held as a captive to a bunch of pirates. And depending on who you believe, he was either molested and beaten the entire time, or he was a pompous jackass, which, considering Caesar's later
I think it was both.
actions, I think that he was just a pompous jackass for his entire fucking life.
I just know that if I was a pirate and there was a pompous jackass
You would've fucked
20-year-old
Caesar?
kid, I would have at least broke his nose. Don't make me listen to poetry. I'm gonna punch your ass if you keep talking. You're my prisoner.
Well,
Shut
they
the fuck up.
they didn't have TV back then. If you had the choice of beating this person to the point that they're not going to be entertaining anymore,
It would be fun.
or you could be like, hey, this kid, there's no way this 20-year-old kid can do shit to us. But
saying
he's
a
sitting
bunch of
around
shit.
talking shit and reading his poetry, and we can just keep him around and laugh at him until he brings us $70 million.
I could see that.
Yeah, I'm not going to fuck with him. He's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got a lot of gumption.
And maybe he laid out some rules, like if I'm hurt or fucked up, they're not going to give you the money. You got to keep me
Also,
clean. You got to keep me cherried out.
That's something else. Once he sent his own people out to collect that money, they could have very easily gone. He still had powerful friends and family. That he was still a member of the Roman Legion at this point. So he could have had, if something happened to him, the people that he sent out to get the money could have said, "Hey, these guys are."
But what was stopping the people
Caesar.
that went out to just bring an army back?
Yeah, they're probably a bunch of fucking pussies.
They just didn't.
Well, also he's sending like servants and stuff. They're not going to have a whole lot of leeway. But if they send these servants out to get the money, they get the money. They're going to send that money back with some sort of guard. So if those guards see like, oh shit, Caesar's already dead or Caesar's been fucked up, then they're going to give the pirates the money. Yeah, well, I mean, really, the outcome was going to be the same for any of these pirates.
Why didn't they just bring an army back and kill everybody? And just take
well,
them?
Caesar did.
Right, but I mean, they let him send his own guys back to go get the money. His own guys, when they got there, were like, Caesar's captured. They want $50 million. And they were like, okay, let's pay it. They didn't just come back with an army and just be like, here's the money, wink, wink, wink. And then once they got Caesar, killed everybody. Something's not adding up here, dude. I feel like this whole thing was made up. I think he made it. Made this whole story up to make himself look good or something.
I think that...
Why didn't they get the money or get Caesar and then kill everybody once they got Caesar back and get their money back while they were there? Have 10 ships offshore, make the deal. We know where they are now.
I mean,
that seems
it would have
normal.
taken... It would have... Like, for one thing, it would have taken a long time for them to get the word all the way back to Rome and then come back and try to find these guys. In that amount of time, they might have moved to a different island. And also, they didn't have the same like nationalism that we have nowadays, where if somebody from America gets taken hostage by pirates,
how'd they get that money?
They send in Rob O'Neill and the other Navy SEAls to fucking shoot those motherfuckers in the head and get them back. They didn't have the Navy SEAls back then, and they also didn't have as fast communication. So everybody was kind of responsible for themselves to a certain degree.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So honestly, I think that things played out the way that Caesar wanted them to, where he was pissed off at these pirates for making him feel like he was at a lesser person than they were by holding him captive and making fun of his poetry and all of that shit.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I'm going to send my people to go and get this money. I'm going to give you twice the amount of money that you want. You're going to be real happy with this. Don't worry. So they bring the money back, and Caesar's like, hey,
told his servants,
here's your money. I'm going to let you go, and I'm just going to get out of here. Don't worry. You guys are fine here. I swear that I'm not going to do anything in retaliation.
That yeah.
He was a very manipulative person.
Well, and also if you told your servants something, they would do exactly what he said. And maybe part of the rule was like, look, you can't, they cannot bring an army back here.
Yeah.
Like I could see him saying
that's another thing.
Look, if they say we'll come back with an army, you say no. The money.
So while Caesar is in captivity, if they saw a fleet of Roman ships coming back, they just slit his throat and jump on a boat and run off. So
maybe they would just take him because they like him, make him sing poetry for the rest of his life.
They did seem to be fans of him because from like I said, from all the accounts that I could find, they treated him fairly well. And really, if you're trying to get money from a hostage, that's what you want to do. You want to treat them well. You want to try and do things that aren't going to get repercussions from it. You want to make sure, like, okay, you're kind of a jackass. You're talking a lot of shit to us, but you're going to give us the money that we want. We're going to treat you well, and you're telling us that once it's all paid off,
we treat you well. We're all good.
Yeah,
they made a
everything's
deal,
good. And you just split. And they're like, that Caesar kid's all right. He read us some poetry.
But he told him what he was going to do, too. I love
Caesar,
that version of the story.
You're so funny. You're going to get us crucified. Okay, buddy, whatever. Oh, shit. He's actually coming back with a giant army. And he's going to crucify us.
He did everything else he said he would do. They should have listened to him.
Yeah, Caesar was really the type of person to follow through on pretty much anything that he said.
That's
if
cool.
He said,
did he lie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had to. He was a politician. The only way that he could get as far along as he did. Well, I was going to say that he lied to his men for a long time, but he made
about paying them?
Yeah, he made his legions work off of IOUs for a long time.
Did he?
But he paid him off. He had to borrow a shitload of money from this asshole.
So he's got some sort of honor, even though he's an asshole. He does what do what he says most of the time.
Yeah, does
he lie to his troop, or like does he decide? Does he have a mental thing? I'll lie to politicians, but I'm not going to lie to my army.
As long as you're not a Gaul, I think that he would follow through with what he said.
What's a Gaul again?
That was
the
ancient French.
The French,
pretty much. Yeah, ancient French, like
the
kind
ones
of
with
spanning
with
into
the tomahawk things.
Francisca. Yeah.
Yeah, those things, those guys.
So yeah, as long as you're a Roman, then yeah, sure, he'd probably follow through for the most part. Unless he found some reason that it would be better for him to.
If he's got a life for the moment, he'll do it. But for the most part, he was trying to be honorable, you think?
It seemed like to the people that he was loyal to, or the people that.
Well, you would have to be, or else you're going to get killed. So that there must have been some sort of respect layer that he knew he had to have.
Yeah, and
right?
I mean that's really what kind of got him taken down later in his life, as he started running a little fast and loose.
Naughty.
Yeah, he started taking too much power. But that's going to be in a future episode.
Okay.
So let's wrap this up for now.
These fucking pirates, dude.
Yeah, those pirates, they fucked up. They took the wrong person hostage. And they should have listened to him when Caesar said that he was going to get him crucified.
Yeah.
But they didn't know. He's a 20-year-old kid. If some 20-year-old walked up to me and was like, I'm gonna crucify you, I'd be like, all right.
All right, buddy. Bud. Anytime. We'll be here.
Yep. And that's what I would do. I'd be like,
map,
you know what?
Dude. Actually, here's how you get here.
I'm going to sit right here. And because I mean, you know me, I don't like being threatened. I just be like, all right, yeah, do it.
Yeah,
I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to wait. And then when they came back to crucify me, I'd be like, fuck. And that's what happened to the pirates.
I bet you he had at least one pirate friend, and he was like, "See, dude, I told you. Like, I wish you would have just ran off, but
I told you should have left.
You
should have left when you had the chance."
And he was like, "Goddamn."
And now I have to watch this guy slit your throat. I'm going to be happy about it, but I'm not really happy about it.
You think he did one more poem for them?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, just as a final fuck you, it's
was
like,
it one at a time,
who's laughing at my poetry now?
He had them all up, 30 guards, 30 pirates, and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna recite this poem to you, and when I'm done, you're all getting your throats cut." And then he gave another poem read. If you laugh, you get your throat cut early.
I don't know.
Then on 3, boom, all 30 pirates down.
That's a good question, because I feel like the more traumatic thing would be having it done one at a time, where every subsequent person, like you're going to hear the people before you getting their throat slit.
Ugh.
And that's going to be a really, really fucked up situation. But he was also trying to do it as an act of mercy. So it might have all happened at the same time.
It's more theatrical if he gives a speech and it's all at once and there's people watching. So I guess it depends on if he had if there's a crowd watching. If it was just him and the pirates one at a time to torture him, if there was a crowd, probably all at once. I don't know.
I don't know. That's actually a really good question, because I feel like it could have gone either way, and it probably ultimately boils down to how many troops that he had under his command at the time. If he had enough people to slit everybody's throat at the same time, if he had 30 captives and 30 soldiers, then it would have been all at once, because I mean, he probably just wants to get that shit over and done with and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
He's just trying to prove a point.
So what happens next?
Well, what happens after this is, a lot of stuff. I mean, Caesar goes back to Rome.
What are we going to cover next episode?
So next we're going to be covering Caesar's return to Rome, and we're going to be going over how he really started rising to power, because Caesar was actually, he was a lot like Better Call Saul. When he got back to Rome, he didn't have a lot of money. He was borrowing a lot of money for this shit, and he continued to borrow money for a long time until this guy Crassus bailed him out.
It's a dangerous game.
So he went back to Rome, and he started working as the equivalent of like a lawyer. He was an advocate for. He would talk on other people's behalfs to try to defend him from things. But he had to buy a house in like the worst part of Rome, in like the red light district of Rome.
He was like Better Call Saul?
He was like Better Call Saul.
That changes my whole perspective of him. That's interesting. That's how you look. That's how you see him?
Yeah. Yeah, he's
like a fucking shitty lawyer.
he was a narcissistic, sociopathic, shitty lawyer that came to become a dictator for life and completely reshaped. I mean, he completely reshaped human history. We're still using the calendar that he put in place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah,
that he's Saul, I could see him manipulating an entire.
I should have just started off the episode saying that.
That would have.
So Julius Caesar is Better Call Saul.
Then he totally could have tricked an entire island of pirates into thinking he was the shit.
All right, that's it. That's it for this episode of the Iconoblast podcast. You can tune in next time when we're going to talk about Julius Caesar being a shitty lawyer in the red light district of Rome. If you like the show, don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe us. We're on YouTube now.
Yeah,
and
YouTube.
you can
You
watch
just search Drinking Bros History. We're on there with the Softcore History Boys.
So definitely check out Softcore History. They cover a lot of really interesting topics, and I think they do a really good job doing it. Another way that you can help out, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on iTunes, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Leave a rating and a review. That's going to help us keep the show going, keep us up on the charts.
Yeah, if you listen to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star. Leave a comment. Subscribe. That's how we can get a sponsor, and that's how we can keep the show going.
Yeah, that's going to keep the show going. You can also donate to the Drinkin' Bros Patreon, and that'll help keep the Friday Night Jack Sesh going. This is something that Joel and I work on fairly often.
Yeah, every Friday, Coop and I work on the Friday Night Jack Sesh. We love Jack.
Jack Mandeville is fucking hilarious. I swear to God, Friday Night Jack Sesh is worth it. You can pay $1 a month, and you can see the Friday Night Jack Sesh. It is worth $1 a month. So,
only $1 a month?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's a steal. For what Jack Mandeville delivers, $1 a month, you're going to feel like you're taking advantage of him. So that's
he's naked, mostly naked, so it's worth $1 just to see.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes he has his dog Taco on the show, which was one of my favorite episodes, is when he had Taco.
I love Taco.
Taco's such a good dog. Taco's great. All right, that's it for this episode.
Yeah, follow our Instagram, Iconoblast Podcast on Instagram. Did you already say that?
No, I haven't said that yet. I don't have my piece of paper
It's
that
okay.
tells me all the
We
shit
can
to
do
read
this
at
together.
the end of the episode. So, yeah, follow us on Instagram at Iconoblast Podcast. You can follow me at Coop Newcomb.
Yeah, that's where I burnt this. This is the episode that we talked about James Jameson.
James Jameson, the Whiskey Cannibal. You can follow Joel at Joel R. Benner.
Yeah.
This has been the Iconoblast Podcast. I am Matt Cooper,
I'm Joel.
reminding you to never take anything at face value.
I'm the bully, and he's the... Was it the bully and the nerd? That's the other version of our show.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, the bully and the nerd.
Who said that?
Jesse.
Oh, yeah. This has been the Bully and the Nerd. All right, let's get out of here.
All right, fuck off.